Use the Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
And welcome back, everybody. It's Wednesday. That means FrostCast. That means me, Winter Wolf, and King Z are going to come in a quick minute. We're bringing you FrostCast episode 40. I don't know why King Z all dawdling over there. Looks like in the behind scenes he fell out of his chair or something. So anyways, guys, what's going on? There he is. He didn't fall out of a chair. Nice. Dude, remember when you fell out of the chair that one time? That was terrible.
Yeah, that was
kind of funny. It was terrible, though. Painful.
I don't even remember how I did it. It's like my foot got stuck, and then we were sliding, and it was just different.
Dude, all I know is you were there for 1 second, and I looked away at a notepad, and when I looked up, I saw like a foot. So there we go. It was kind of a funny way. This is where the wolf begins. I had to work that into an intro. That's kind of snappy. I like that. I have to work that in there. Thank you for the early recommendation. But dude, how you doing? And I'm excited to get to talking about topics again after having done the Daredevil coverage, and we did topics last week, and I was like, oh sweet, all right, we're talking on the weekly grind of things. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then we go right into a slow news week.
We'll see. You never know when these things will pop up. We just had a bit of a discrepancy backstage about a rumor that we could talk about tonight if we wanted to. Because that made it from a fairly known and vetted kind of person making the remarks. So, these guys don't just come up with that stuff. It's not just, we're not talking about Mike Zero. We're not talking about me.
But when the person in question straight up tells you that, hey, there's a conflict here, I will not be in this.
Dude, Michael Keaton told us he wasn't in the Flash movie for like 4 years. You can't just go by what the actor says I can't be in it. Your point about him being in, another production running at that same time frame, I would say it's all a cover. They wrote, funded, opened up production on a whole other movie just to throw you off the track. That's it. Chris Evans will be there as 6 different Captain Americas. You heard it here first. Or maybe you heard it here second because it's been elsewhere. True. Derpy Entertainment says, fellas, the movie released this recent weekend. It was peak as usual. Everyone describes it as the good one. Oh, we know. We're gonna get right into that. Don't you worry. That is a numero uno topic this week on FrostCast for sure. Because I think it raises a point we talk about often. I don't see any reason not to jump right into it. King, what do you think? You ready to go?
Let's go with the thumbnail.
Let's do it. So I think right off the rip, Derpy brings up a good point. It's the one everyone describes as the good one. Of course, we're talking about Revenge of the Sith turned 20. 20 years ago, the prequel trilogy wrapped up, and the prequel trilogy is an interesting beast, right? Because it gets the typical dump job treatment, as it came out and kind of as it persisted over the years. But, a lot of us think that given the treatment of the IP lately, people get a little rosy tinted glasses when they look back on the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
What do you think of that right away? That idea?
Oh, that's definitely what's going to happen. People are going to get that nostalgia feel for something because even though it was bad for its time, it's still better than everything you have today in that IP minus Andor.
But is that true? Is it really better than everything we have today? Can we objectively know that? Because I have a gut feeling it is, and I think you do. But is it just nostalgia clouding our thoughts?
No, I think the performance is better. I think the dialogue is still subpar to most stuff, but still better than the dialogue we did in today's stuff.
For sure. I think the dialogue, I thought you were going a whole different direction with the dialogue. I was about to just cancel the show, bring somebody else in, because there's no way he's sticking up for prequel trilogy dialogue. No chance in the boot. Cut the camera and bring the Oracle on. It's the only thing that's going to save the show. I think you're right. I was listening, ironically, I caught clips out of Red Letter Media's, I think it was their Andor 1 season review, and they were talking about the things that felt like Star Wars, since the prequel trilogy ended, and all the glut of things, the cartoons, the different shows, the movies, the standalones like Rogue One and Solo. And really, Revenge of the Sith, until we got Rogue One, in my opinion, was the last thing that felt like Star Wars. Like it has a certain look, it has a vibe, and I don't think any of that was really captured with about 99% of the modern stuff, sequel trilogy included. Like, there were all the budget money they had. It just doesn't. It never felt like it to me. You know? I know. It's so true. To read them out. God, you've seen it first.
The prequels make the sequels look like Citizen Kane.
Dude,
I think you meant that the prequels are like Citizen Kane compared to the sequels, because
I got you. I got the intent. It might have worded wrong, but I got the intent. I think that's the commonplace. That's the vibe. Like, man, that's the feeling.
And
now I can overlook the sand dialogue now.
Yeah.
At least they were
coarse. It's rough. It gets everywhere.
And I'm a whiny bitch for 2.5 movies. Actually, he wasn't a whiny bitch in the first movie. That's not fair. He was a kid.
And he became like Anakin Skywalker starting in towards the end of the second one. But then he came back to life when he, takes out Mace Windu.
Choked his wife to death while she was pregnant. Hey, what's up, Pape? What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to the show. Yeah, dude. Revenge of the Sith, man. Walk me through your life, where you were when Sith came out 20 years ago. Where were you at? Who'd you see it with? What was the vibe for that Star Wars at the time for you and your crew?
2005. I was a instructor at the NCO Academy here at Fort Gordon.
Yeah.
And I know I went to the midnight release on Thursday night when they only had the one release time on Thursday. I did go to that just to finish it up. I saw the prequels not as bad as a lot of people did. Like, I enjoyed the story. The Phantom Menace was what it was. I think Jar Jar is the only thing that really brought it down. But if you actually looked at the story, it really does set everything up, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. But I think Jar Jar Binks was the main problem with that one.
It was a little slow. I would say Phantom Menace is probably a little slow pacing wise, especially in the middle. But I agree. I think it's a perfect trilogy starter. Otherwise, it got its job done, I think.
Yeah, it got the job done. You got that lead off on. Second one got another solid base hit, but I do believe the Battle of Mustafar?
Mustafar was in the third one.
Yeah. Then the third one, the Battle of
Saber Duel.
The actual saber duel was what tied it all together, because that's what everyone's been waiting for, because we haven't seen a true lightsaber battle with two masters of the art in any of the other Star Wars stuff that we've seen to that point. And I think that one lived up to its place.
Oh, that just came up when we were talking about saber battles last week. I think we both rated that as the clear best in anything, in any medium. Darby says Revenge of the Sith marketing was ridiculous. Dude, it was everywhere.
Yes.
It was everywhere, dude. There was who got the tie into that one? Did Burger King get the tie into that one, or McDonald's? One of them did. But you couldn't. It was the trailer was posted on everything. It predated like YouTube splash ads, but I mean, you couldn't turn a TV on or see another movie and not catch a trailer for it. It was in print everywhere. Print or pieces of paper. For you younger guys, print is like a tablet screen but made out of paper. It's a little different, but it's basically the pictures weren't as high quality. But you get the vibe for that. But it's funny, you said you saw it at midnight to wrap it up. Was that your personal vibe going in? Or was that just kind of like being facetious? Like, did you feel like you were just checking a box, or were you down?
That was my thing. I wanted to see it. But it was like I always saw it at the midnight release. Yeah. Unlike things today, it was I don't really care when I go see it.
I can't be bothered. I could give a fudge.
Not including I was
on midnight.
Also in my 20s at the time, so I had a little bit more energy at night.
He had a bit more pep in the step.
Yeah,
a little bit more pep in the step. Yeah, no, that's I had that problem myself. You know,
that was the days when I would stay out drinking till like 2 a.m. and then run 5 miles at 5 a.m.
Right.
So.
You ain't trying to do that now. That's for sure. I saw them all midnight release also, except for Phantom Menace. I remember I was in college then when that one came out, 99 or whatever that was. That was like one of my that was like my sophomore year there, I think. And I did the waiting in line for tickets thing when they got announced, because there was a major marketing blitz that went into that too, with ads everywhere. And when the pre-orders were going to go on sale, you couldn't just buy them on. There was no buying that shit online. back
Mm-mm.
then. You know, you couldn't ticket
And
master.
there were
refresh,
no
refresh,
assigned
refresh.
seats.
Right. So me and a few buddies from the dorm I lived in, we like went over to the local place, dude. We got there at like 5 a.m. just to screw around. Like we were like, oh, let's just drive by and see what happens. We'll go get breakfast if we got to come back when they open at like 9, right? We're like 10 people in line already at this mall, right? The theater was at a mall, and security had their vehicles parked at all of the entrances except one. Like they basically created a corral, like a queue to drive in. So you had to go in one way. We were ticket sales like 20 and 22, 20, 21, 22 by the time we parked. But we waited there all day for those to go on sale, and they didn't go on sale when they opened. That was the bitch of it. They had a separate line, right? Those tickets went on sale whenever Lucas told them. It ended up being like 12 or 1. So we waited in line like 7 hours. Like our sister house, like the girl's house across from our house in the dorm, like they brought us lunch because we were there so effing long. They're like, why aren't you guys back? Like, dude, we can't leave the line. We're in now, you know? And I remember, and seeing it opening day, dude, there was a vibe. There was a certain energy to it, I think, all 3 times. Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. But like Pape just said a minute ago, I think as a movie, Revenge of the Sith, kind of mid. And I think it goes down a lot like Endgame. It's kind of a mid movie with a really good third act that people remember because of the saber battle, because of the Anakin Padme thing, the twins being born, the Order 60, right when Order 66 hits. Shit's on. You know, it doesn't let up from there. And that's already after he's done the Pledge of Allegiance to the dark side and the Mace Windu thing, if I remember the order of events the right way. But I think, people remember like 25 minutes of a 2.5 hour long movie, and like the nostalgia kicks in hard, but it was a pretty good half hour.
Yeah.
You know, so there was a vibe to it. I don't think that vibe's out there today, man. I don't think when the Rey movie tickets go on sale, you waiting in line 8 hours, dude? Are you going to drive up? Were you in line 8 hours?
Well, we do live in a different time. We have this little thing called the internet and smartphones and apps.
That smart. They ain't that smart. If it was smart, it wouldn't let me buy it. Yeah, I think the vibes, but we can apply this just to like the shows that come out. I mean, we're in the middle of Andor right now, season 2. Second block just came out, right?
Yeah, chapter
Who's talking
2.
about Andor online? Like, where's the traffic? Like, where's the hype? Where's the discourse?
And that's the problem.
One story, one story, and you know the one.
And you know, there's us who cover it because we actually enjoy the show, and a lot of people after they saw it was like, this is really good. A lot of the people I talked to who's in my community group and stuff like that, they really enjoyed it because it was the best thing Disney Star Wars has put out. And I don't think people are catching it because they've been like I've said it all the time, they've lost the trust of the fans to actually watch this stuff when it comes out. So the good stuff gets slipped through the cracks because it's thrown in with all the crap that they shove down our throats trying to make a buck.
I think it's called brand damage. I think other people have, coined and utilized the term more than we can use it. But I think you're right, because I think the 2 best things that we've watched out of their camp in like the last 5 years is probably Andor and I'll say it's Skeleton Crew, a kid's show, like their Percy Jackson show. What worked for what it was. It
was fun.
Little beats to it.
It had a fun story arc. The kids were great in it. They did a great time they did a great performance in the show. So
Goonies in space. It was 100% Star Wars Goonies in space. But I think the same thing happened, man. It's like when your go-to strategy is to make something that appeals to no one, and then you find, and that's everything else. Like, you don't appeal to hardcore diehards. Like, you didn't appeal to hardcore diehards with Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, any of that. So when you roll out an all-purpose family-friendly thing, like, parents aren't probably going to get their kids involved in Skeleton Crew because those folks have already checked out, or they've heard that other things adjacent aren't kid-friendly. So they're not going to risk it. Like, what parent today has time to watch 2 or 3 episodes of a show before you decide it's okay for your kid? Like that's not a thing. It just comes down to like legacy fans like us, and I think we're in short supply across IP, especially things like Star Wars, where the brand damage has been significant, like you said.
Lucas needs a better editor. I'd wait 8 hours for
Well, Lucas was doing okay with the editor when his wife was doing things back in the day. I mean, you can thank her for Empire Strikes Back. We all know that. Like that was a mess. Before. No, Star Wars, New Hope was a mess.
New Hope was a
Before
mess.
she stepped in.
Yeah, like they had
the
this
assist on Empire.
It actually opened on Tatooine with him and the buddy he saw later, who was also
Wedge.
No, it wasn't Wedge.
It was Wedge. That was the buddy that brought him in.
No, that wasn't Wedge Antilles. No.
Am I remembering the movie wrong? Maybe I am. Dude, it's been a minute.
Yeah,
when he first arrived to the Rebel base, when he's walking in, he took the dude. Oh, yeah, different dude. My bad.
Yep.
He sees Wedge later.
He's on Tatooine in the city at that point, and they're watching the battle in space. And there's a whole documentary. You can find it on YouTube. It's called Star Wars Saved by the Edit. And it's talking about how it moved things around and like what was actually like in the initial credit scene or the initial cut that he was sending to investors and stuff. How everything kind of got moved around and made a much better story. Like he had that guy, I forgot who it was. I think he was the editor of The Godfather, came up to him and he's like, do you want this to be your first movie or do you want this to be your last movie?
That's a very Godfather line.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But the proof was in the pudding. It was obviously, the phenomenon that it became after all the work that was put into it by the various people around him. And I think that's the criticism that the prequel trilogy gets, rightly so, I think, is that by that point, Star Wars was so successful that those folks were no longer in George's orbit anymore. And then it became the cadre of yes men that just let him belch most of all his dumbass ideas all up on the screen, I mean, so that's kind of that's the vibe of the prequel trilogy. But I remember Revenge of the Sith. I remember being, if we talk about Order 66 just for a minute, I remember the entire packed ass theater just being riveted by the time that happened. Like when Anakin's marching on the Jedi Temple with the troopers behind him, people are like, "Oh, what's going on here? Oh, younglings. Oh, yeah." Like people are like, "Oh crap, that got out of hand quickly." And then one by one, the Jedi just go down, and like the score at that point, dude, heartrending. Like just cleave me through. Like it was fucking brutal. Like I'm terrible with Jedi character names, but there was the female Jedi, the Twi'lek, gets just shot in the back, obliterated by her squad, and her body goes down in like the colorful plants, and they just shoot her while she's down. Like Jesus H, man. Like don't pull any punches. It's okay. It's fine. It's all fine.
I just want to know what happened over the years, because the clone soldiers in that actually could shoot. Like how many times did they copy the copy so the stormtroopers couldn't hit anything?
Dude, I don't know. But even by New Hope, remember Obi-Wan was still talking about these dudes could shoot when they rolled up against the Sandcrawler after it got hit.
Yeah.
Like these blast points, too precise for Sand people. So as of A New Hope, they could shoot. Maybe it was the cold weather gear failed them on Hoth or something. I don't know.
It was a little too bulky.
You know what I mean? They had a battle in the trenches. The snow gear was a little too bulky, like you said. They couldn't get the arms down. They couldn't get the elbow in tight. So I don't know.
To segue into a different story here. In the Army, we have this stuff called mop gear. It's used to protect us from chemical and biological type attacks.
Yes, sir.
So by regulation, we're supposed to spend 24 hours in the suit, or not 24 hours. We're supposed to do like a 8-hour or 6-hour type training in the suit. So we're in like full mop gear. We call it mop 4. So you have your mask, you have your top on, you have your pants on, the boots, the gloves, and then we have to do like normal tasks. Well, one of the times when I was a kid, I saw them doing this, and they're out there playing softball in this gear to get used to it. It's the familiarization of it. So you get used to working in that type of gear. Yeah, they're out there playing softball. They have they had another group that was playing like flag football.
Oh, that sounds awful.
One of the things we had to do, and we were in Texas, we had to set up 4 different types of tents while in full mop gear. That was pretty brutal.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
So that's what
maybe that's what happened.
To tie this back into Star Wars, you could definitely tell that they did not practice shooting in their winter gear like we had to practice in our mop suits.
Yeah, maybe they should have. I tell you what, they didn't need practice though. They didn't need to practice to get a re-release in the theater for the 20th anniversary, because I think this thing did like 50 million box office over the weekend.
Worldwide,
which is like
28
was a world
domestic.
It was 20 domestic, 50 worldwide. Dude, Dude, how do you not take that? It's free money.
Yeah,
It's free money. If
it was released 1,041 weeks ago.
Yeah. Dude, imagine if that. I mean, and do we get a wide release on that this time? Like, did they put that on 4,000 screens for the limited engagement?
I think it was 1984, 1,984.
So about 2,000 theaters. Yeah, so it's about half of what a new movie would have got, like a new AAA movie would have got. Imagine if they had gone full on with that.
And it was
hit 60.
The number 2 movie behind Sinners.
Yeah. Which is cleaning up, dude. We should probably talk about that at some point. Maybe out to see that.
That's all they're talking about at work, because of course there's Michael B. Jordan, and they just are drooling over him in the movie. So
it's also Ryan Coogler's like back to back $400 million movie. Like, the dude pretty much can't go wrong. He's hitting the notes. I'll give him that. So maybe we should go check that out. It's inspired by Dusk Till Dawn and Metallica. Like, well, what's not to like about that? You know what I mean? Yeah, dude, 50 mil box office for like an anniversary movie. I'm like, you guys have seen this happen like several times. Like, they just did the 40th anniversary of Empire. I think it was last year or the year, but I think it was last year. Right. And I went there the first night they had it. It was packed in my little local joint, 200 seats in the room. Like, if that doesn't tell you that the world wants more of that stuff and not the new crap that you give us, like, I don't know, like, you can't paint a brighter neon picture than that, I don't think. I mean, you got to be pretty effing dense, actually.
Yes.
To not get that.
The music was better. The movies were better. The TV shows were better. I've seen, like, we did our little spill on the 9 episode seasons and how they're trying to jam pack it. Then I've seen other reels come out pretty much after ours saying the exact same thing, saying like
sentiment.
Here's 22 episodes. We'll see you next fall. And then it'll be like, then it's like the streaming. It's like, thank you for watching our 9 episode streaming service show. We put a lot of work in to try to tell a good story in 9 episodes. We don't know if there's going to be a season 2 or even if the streaming service is going to be back next year.
We'll see you in 2 years when we go into pre-production. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think people lose track of that in a lot of ways. That's like a whole other separate topic that we've done. You can't, like, when we just riffed on The Office when we recorded Last of Us 2 days ago, you can't do all the little micro beats that you want to do with people and make you get invested in characters, whether you like them or dislike them. You really can't bang all that stuff out in 9 episodes and then expect people to wait around 14 months for you to maybe come back on a cliffhanger or not. It just doesn't work that way. You need time to breathe, and that requires 20, 25. What was the magic number? 22, 20? You're always telling me what it is.
Yeah, 22 is the standard season.
Right. That's what I'm, like, you need all those, like the Jim, Pam, Dwight, Michael stuff. Like, none of those beats add up if they get separated out and thinned out with the amount of time that goes down in between. And what slays me about that is that I'm torn. It's like, we've seen the quality within the 9 episodes of certain things is trash anyway. So do you really need 15 to 20 episodes like that? No. Would 15 episodes of She-Hulk helped it? No. But 15 of Andor? I might be able to go for another chapter on this show for this season is 3 episodes.
15 of Daredevil.
Right. Oh, dude, 15 of Daredevil would have been great. Like, think of what that would have eliminated for us if they had a little bit more time to flesh out Matt and Heather's relationship, fleshed out to the point where they actually had a reason for her to be bitter. More with the Muse. I know you specifically wanted more of that.
I wanted more Muse.
You were big on that in the pregame in our episode 0.
Yeah,
we were definitely talking about him as a unique villain that would tie into Daredevil's weaknesses or lack of abilities. That would have been a better play. But dude, I mean, let's flip this. Let's take it back to Star Wars and flip it for you to answer. Would Ahsoka have been better for you with 16 episodes? Like, if there was more time to develop her relationship with Sabine, or if we got more time with Ezra after they found him, do either of those scenarios improve the show for you?
Definitely. 100%.
I would have thought that the quality was so low writing wise that it wouldn't have mattered if you got more of that. Answer for that, I think.
Well, I would say because the writers would have had more time to flush things out and actually work things where the dialogue didn't have to seem so rushed and just so on the nose, to the point. They could have some nuance. They could have some play. They could tell stories. They could speak in half truths and then find out what's really going on. When you have more time to shoot stuff, you have better stories because you have time to actually build up that character and what's important to them. And you get to find out, like, other than I need to get from point A to point B, have that one flat art character.
And that's all that show was.
You to have a truly flushed out character and like have him go through moral dilemmas and trying to figure out what he wants based on what the group wants and all that good stuff. So yeah, I believe that show could have been better. And one other thing we would get with that is more Braylon Straw, which we would, that was the highlight of that show. And I think we would have got more of him. So we could have found out a little bit more of what he's after and like just more screen time of him because he did a fantastic job.
The world building behind that character and his relationship with his apprentice and what his larger scale goal was trash. It was terrible. But I guess my problem with that show, or the idea of giving them more rope to hang themselves, is if you have a friend who's terrible with money and you give them $1,000 to do something and they do a piss poor job, do you go back and wish you gave that guy $5,000? Like, sometimes having them limit what they can do is the idea of it is that by limiting them with time, resources, budget, money, whatever, it's supposed to compel them to create some kind of creative tension that makes them innovate, that makes them make everything count, and they don't. I think that's like it's a catch-22. Like Pape says, more episodes equals getting to show versus having to tell, which is what which is what you were just saying. Right. And I would agree with that if it was a group of talented people and not a bunch of talentless asshats.
I have a thing on that. If you have more time, you have more money, you can hire better people.
True. And that's and again, but again, in the political landscape that is Disney Lucasfilms, that all depends on who gets the piece of that pie, what boxes are checked. We know they tend to cast people instead of hiring writers. They cast a director, they cast a writer's room based on certain political ideas, and they can't get out of their own way. And I wouldn't give a shit if they, unless they did, if they actually could get out of the way of that ideology and then just write something that's appealing to everyone. Nobody would care who wrote it. I wouldn't even care how many episodes you got. Like, it's probably going to be okay. But we've seen what happens with these guys. We give them all the rope and they don't deliver. So when shows like, or when movies like the Rey movie keep coming up, or when Mando season 4 gets transitioned into Mando and Grogu the movie, I just sit there and I go, all right, well, I'm gonna write a note. I'm writing a note for King Z. We're gonna talk about this on Wednesday, and then we talk about it for 10 minutes, and then I literally forget it's a thing until it ever comes back up again in the cycle. And that's not how the Star Wars not supposed to be like that. Star Wars is supposed to be fun, interesting, engaging. You know what I mean? Awe-inspiring in places. And when was the last time it did that? When was the last time somebody lifted an X-Wing out of a swamp with a puppet and you felt and the whole thing felt like it was real? When?
I'd say the last time people were really excited was when they announced the sequel trilogy. Yep. And The Force Awakens was coming out. And then after some people got a taste of that first season of The Mandalorian and how season 2 delivered.
Dude, that was me at that first taste of Mandalorian season 1. I was like, okay, we're back. And like, but we weren't really. It was a short-lived we were back situation, unfortunately.
We're back.
I wish it was
but gone again.
We're gone again so quick. It was like 3 months. There was like a 3-month time difference between Luke's Mandalorian rescue and the Jaina situation, which they can admit it all. They can admit it or deny it all they want. That literally torpedoed any sense of fan excitement from a large portion of people. May not have been everybody, but you don't have to lose half of your blood to die. You know what I mean? You just need to lose enough, and there you go. That's kind of the bed that they're in. What are you gonna do? But it doesn't always bleed over into being completely apathetic and put off. I mean, I'm moderately excited about that Starfighter thing with Ryan Gosling. If it's real, they brought him out, they made him say the thing.
Yeah.
But I'm down for Starfighter stuff. So, I mean, there's still a little bit of hope there, I would say. I mean, there's got to be something that would excite you enough to get riled about, hey, let's talk a segment on FrostCast about Star Wars. Like, does that show out there for you?
And I think it's Andor. I think what Star Wars needs to do is go away from the Skywalker trilogy or saga completely. we need to see something new. I'm not saying completely get rid of the Jedi or people with
you
laser
can't.
swords. It's because that's
Lightsabers,
part
don't
of the
call 'em laser
lore.
swords. Don't call them laser swords. That new TLJ was in trouble. Even before the stupid saber toss and the your mama joke at the beginning. I'm like, he said laser sword in the trailer. Oh, that's what it was. He said laser sword in the trailer. And I was like, motherfucker. Here we go.
So I think if we did that, I like the idea we had last week where they have to figure out who's going to take over power and what's left after the First Order and the New Republic are now decimated. They're completely gone. What's next? And that's what I want to see that, which that doesn't need Jedi in it. You didn't have Jedi in it, but you don't need Jedi in it. Yeah. Yep. You could have them rebuild the Jedi to what they were, which are the peacekeepers and the negotiators and stuff like that, but they might be on one side and another side's like completely anti-Jedi based on just they just don't trust Force users altogether because they've been burned too many times.
That's a thing in canon everywhere, going back to Knights of the Old Republic games. Like that's a thing,
dealing in arcs that should be are better left alone.
Yeah, for sure. There's it's funny, I'd mentioned earlier that I'd watched the Red Letter Media review of Andor season 1. And one of Mike's better suggestions, and he has a few from time to time. I like his stuff when he gets going on a roll. But this was really interesting because it came on the heels of us having talked about other Star Wars plots and projects last week that I was thinking about. And kind of like what you just said now about seeing the aftermath and the rebuild, the idea that he posited, and I thought, what a great way to subvert expectations, would be to show someone from a world politically aligned with the Empire because the Empire treats them well. So think like District 1 or the Capitol from like the Hunger Games. Like not everybody's being crushed into like oblivion.
Yeah.
If you have an empire, it's because you're prospering somewhere probably to make the war machine move and work. So, I mean, what if what if your main character was a kid whose world was ruined because the rebels ruined some shit and he felt compelled to join the Imperial Navy and become a pilot or something? Like, oh, okay. Like there's some themes you could work with there.
Yeah, there's definitely some themes you could work with. You could definitely have some fun with this. And the thing is that they don't want to have fun with it because and the few times that they've tried, they've given you something so god awful you just don't want to watch it anymore.
Dude, every time these guys veer into what I think they think is fun, I get crap like Skittle Squad on motor scooters in Book of Boba Fett. I get little Leia running through the woods chased by Flea. And Obi-Wan not knowing how to walk around a security gate instead of trying to disarm it. Like, if you've seen the show, you guys know. Mm-hmm. But their fun is not fun. And then I think they overcorrect so far on things like Andor, like we've said. They gave Bix a pretty good torture scene in season 1. It wasn't graphic by any stretch, but it's like it hits on their thematic level. Like it's dark and gritty for what Star Wars does. It was 10 times harsher than the torture scene Leia got with the probe droid with the hypodermic on it in A New Hope.
Yeah.
No, Bix was terrified and had lasting repercussions. Leia was cool 10 minutes later, Luke broke her out the cell.
Yep.
And then in this season, of course, everyone's talking about the one SA scene. I've been told we can't say the thing, so we're not gonna say the thing. Just pay attention to headlines and you guys will know what the thing was. But so then it becomes all dark and gritty and they don't know how to have any kind of fun at all. They had a little bit of fun this week. We'll talk about that on our individual reviews.
Yep.
When we get there. But I'm proud to. I'm not proud. I didn't work on. I'm not proud. I'm happy to see that Revenge of the Sith did well. I have a feeling though, and I don't remember these movies coming back. Did they bring back episodes 1 and 2 for a 20th? I don't really remember.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But once again, the third
Maybe
one had the most nostalgic behind it, like had the best fan following out of the 3 prequels.
For sure. And like I said, Order 66 probably accounts for most of people's and I say Order 66 meaning literally everything after Anakin made up his mind to flip. You know what I mean? I think that a lot of people just hooked into that.
I need him.
I know, right? Had they just listened to this kid when he was like 12, maybe cut him a little bit of slack, maybe not have been such a dick, maybe not have created 10,000 memes at this kid's expense. Maybe he might not have turned on all you and ruined some shit. maybe. But yeah, here we are. Here we are. Although those memes maybe end in Texas now. Did you see that pass? Did you see the bill that passed in the House down there today? Like a landslide. They got a little bill going through about banning memes that make it look like a political figure said something they didn't say, kind of thing. It's a twist. But the headline, of course, if you're right leaning, reads Texas House to ban memes, and I'm like, that's not entirely what it said, but okay. But worth looking into. But yeah, if they hadn't memed Anakin to death, maybe he wouldn't have choked that girl. Just saying. I mean, maybe he didn't need a choker, right? Poor Natalie Portman. She didn't want to get choked. She tried to do
my
her
brother. You were supposed to destroy them, not join them.
Oh God, that was the best. See, that was actually, but that works when you got somebody that can actually put some heart and soul into some shit. You know, it doesn't come across as total double cheeseburger here. You know, I didn't
over,
think so.
Anakin. I have the high ground.
And then, of course, this dude without as much acting talent says something stupid like, "You doubt my power." I'm like, "Oh, dude, is this an anime? Like, is Goku here? What just happened?" And then, whoa, no limbs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Spoiler alert: he gets his limbs removed. It's 20 years ago.
Hey, that's a nice suit there, Darth Vader. What'd you pay for it? An arm and a leg?
Hey, an arm and two legs. Yeah, and again, like just remember that part. He's burning on the side of the lava river. And Obi-Wan gives him the "You are my brother, I loved you" thing, and all this dude has with his yellow eyes is "I hate you."
Yeah,
like I hate you, Mom and Dad. I'm moving out. You'll never see me again. Like that's what that sounded like. Yeah, it's a good thing the saber fight was good because the aftermath, 6 out of 10. Dude, seriously. I gotta fly. I saw this one out the corner of my eye. This is too clutch to let go. We got one from Pape there. Yeah, Sam didn't need the high ground. Fact. He carried dude to the high ground after dude sent him packing. Yeah, Sam was the MVP. We all know it. No doubt. That whole Clone Wars thing goes different if Sam and Merry and Pippin show up. Just sort that shit out real quick. There's the crossover we didn't know we needed. You know what I mean? Just saying, get them in some X-Wings. They got to sit on a bunch of phone books, though.
Yeah. Going on one of our other reviews that just dropped. Did you see that Until Dawn only made 8 million?
Dude, is that where worldwide? Because I heard 50. Wait, what did I say? I said 3.
It was 8. It was 8 domestic. 8 domestic.
Weeks. I'm pretty sure the production budget was 15. But it's like we said, dude. You guys can go check out our review video. Wait, where do we point when there's a title card? Is it over here?
I think it's
over here?
Right about here. Here, yeah, right here.
I don't know, somewhere in here,
right above here,
wherever. I think it was too niche. Yeah, because I think that a movie like that, if it comes out maybe in October, like a little Halloween movie, with some decent marketing. I don't remember seeing marketing anywhere really.
No, I didn't see anything.
Facebook ads.
It didn't have any tie-in with any of the fast food restaurants, which is like key for movie pushing these days.
I mean, they weren't gonna. I mean, a horror movie very rarely would get something like that. But I mean, they could have done a tie-in with a re-release of the game. They could have put the game on sale and done a tie-in there. You could have had Netflix trailers or sign a deal with Netflix ahead of time. But I don't know who published it, so I don't know where they would go streaming wise. Probably Paramount, probably.
Yeah, but you didn't see no press tours, nothing like that. You didn't see any of the actors talking about it. So.
Can't name anybody in it except Stormare, whatever his name is. Stormare. Dr. Hill. The Russian. I'm just going to call him the Russian.
Like I said, it was that movie where they got a whole bunch of supporting actors who do good as supporting actors and see if one of them can be a star who could lift off the screen.
Yeah. Which, while we're on the subject of Until Dawn, I had to throw a red challenge flag your way after the fact because I got to thinking about one of the points you made about how that last scene is the SUV pulling up to the lodge, and so you were thinking that the movie we got was a prequel. Couldn't be a prequel. Because literally they used half of the story elements from the game in the movie, like the bit with the sanatorium, the mine collapse, the town issue, and all that stuff. They changed enough of the other stuff to make it an original story-ish. But yeah, those were key plot elements of the game. So I think they just had that scene in the bag and thought it would be cool, or they knew or they thought they could create prequel controversy. But yeah, then you can't borrow half the script from the game to put in your movie and have it be a prequel. That doesn't work. Now you got to try and make your own thing. Good luck.
You really could, because I mean, you could have.
How?
I mean, think of Cabin in the Woods. It's the same thing every year, just they choose a different monster. But the fallout's always the same. First thing that has to die is the slut, and then everyone else can die in any order, and then the virgin has to die last, or doesn't have to die.
Optional,
it's optional. So it's the same story. The only thing that changes is the monster. So
I think that's a good point. But then I guess the thing that would tie that all together really would be, what are the odds that it's another group of friends going up there to celebrate a sister that disappeared, who becomes the thing that then ends the story by confronting the sister that came to look for it. It's close enough. I honestly think they didn't know what they were doing. You're probably right. You could get away with it and say, oh, but this is the group of kids, like how Final Destination did their thing with the last movie actually being a prequel to part 1. It was the story about the kids that were going to die on the plane in part 1. Like, yeah, they could have been going for that. I honestly don't think they had a clue about that, though. No shot.
Yeah.
But
I think,
I'll pick the flag up. I'm picking up the red flag.
Yeah, and I was thinking that it was released now because it didn't want to go up against the heavy hitters in the normal horror season, which is September through October. So,
but I mean, what do we have coming? Is there a Saw movie this year? I think we do have a Saw this year,
and they have Final Destination, and there's a couple other ones that are coming out.
But
I'd have to go find my graphic again.
Yeah, Final Destination's like a week from now, though. I think that's like in May. So that wouldn't even have been up against them either. Like, I don't think any of the heavies, like the Conjuring, Insidious, the Annabelles, the Paranormal, like all the recent big dog franchises that we've had in the last decade, I don't think they have any action this year. Maybe we'll have to consult our graphic.
Yeah. But talking about big dog franchises, we do have a MCU movie that's dropping this weekend. Well, tomorrow.
Former big dog franchises. I'll say it.
It's still making money. It's still making money.
Sort of, but not really. Let's go look at those Captain Falcon returns again. It's not in the black, but they make money on merch though, I guess.
583 million domestic.
Was it 583 domestic?
Yeah, I think it was like 800 million worldwide, so it made its money back.
Yes, they made it back. I'll give them that. So, all right, they sold some t-shirts. Good for them. But speaking of them, you were right. Thunderbolts comes out this week. Thunderbolts is out now because now early screenings are Wednesday now. So when they talk about biggest box office weekend ever, just know that they added 2 fucking days to that.
Yeah.
It's no longer Friday, Saturday, Sunday, boys and girls. Because that shit crept into Thursday at 12:05 a.m.
Yeah.
And then it was Thursday at lunch. And now there was a show tonight at my spot. I think 10 p.m. is now the cut. It's where they can legally start or contractually start.
So my question is, have you seen the last trailer for it? The one that was at Cinecon?
Unless you and I watched it, I probably haven't, because I typically don't watching trailers, because as much as I dump on Marvel, I do try to go in with at least the smallest amount of knowledge about it I can to get that kind of virgin intro into that particular movie. And so all I know is the team and the villain, and that was it.
Okay, so you haven't seen this. You're not that excited about it. So let's go ahead and roll that trailer.
Whoa, wait a minute. Surprise trailer. What?
That's right. Surprise trailer.
Oh, snap. All right. I'll do it. You're here. I'll do it.
You threw the challenge flag. I'm talking about
the challenge has been thrown.
Being a hero, there is no higher calling.
Fake widow.
Your sister understood something about that.
Real widow.
I should have come back for you.
No. That's just a fairy tale.
I do like that shadow death. That's cool.
I was in high school when the Avengers came. Kind of strange that it's all over now. No one's coming to save the day.
I think we are. We can be the ones that are coming.
But you have the wrong people. We have all done bad things.
Look, I've been where you are. The past doesn't go away. So you can either live with it forever, or you can do something about it.
I am a void.
Void in the house.
What you unleashed. You can't outrun the emptiness.
We can't do this. No one here is a hero.
We all have things that we regret.
have so many.
Lena, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. That's why we need each other.
We can't stop him alone.
You guys can't
one
stop
can.
that void, period.
But we can find a way. Together.
And one of them's missing from that big photo.
Marvel Studios Thunderbolts.
Under pressure.
Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
XK in the house. Word up. What up? Welcome. I know who you are.
I do like that they have the how they changed the Under Pressure song for that trailer.
Yes.
So yes.
I was going to point that out. They reuse that. I like the style of that because I'm a sucker for when I know a lot of people hate it when they take like if they do like Welcome to the Jungle, but like the slow version. Like that's kind of become a trope in trailers.
They change it from a major key to a minor
key.
key.
The fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, all that good stuff. I like the vibe of that. That's fine. My problem is that if they can make the trailer seem like the movie has the serious tone of things, like they want to do Winter Soldier, they want that vibe, but they already gave me 2 trailers where they desperately wanted to be Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad. So which of these things is true? Because they both can't be true in the same movie.
So based
There's
off
no shot.
Early reviews that I have read, they're saying this was a breath of fresh air because people are so tired of everything that MCU's been putting out that this was a little bit different and it's very heartfelt. Like the comedy behind it hits at the right time because of what they're going through. And like if you're not laughing, you're crying type feelings. So
so listen, then that means it's complex, and that's good. That's not a strike against. I've heard some similar things. I've heard. We had already been talking about Sentry and Void a while back anyway. That like that was going to be the thing. Yeah. You said you heard a rumor that there may be a power controlling Void or the Void. Or
I've heard some things in the grapevine.
Okay, I'm saying so. I keep them for the time being. That's the kind of stuff I don't want to know going in. I like for that to unfold. So I've heard that Florence Pugh's pretty good. David Harbour's pretty good. They're the emotional core, right? I've heard that Sebastian Stan, people still love him as Bucky. And I'm like, dude, where's his movie? I feel a lot about that guy in that role like I felt about ScarJo not getting a Black Widow movie until Phase 17. Like, I wanted that movie in 2012.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They used the movie after she died.
Right. Thanks. You gave me the prequel to introduce this chick, who I've got no attachment for at all because I didn't see Black Widow and I don't care. Right? Because I'm out. I'm out on those phases, right? The jokes that they let us with in the early trailers are what concern me. Like when Bucky's taking the cybernetic arm out of the dishwasher, to me, that's Luke throwing the saber over the shoulder. I'm like, I get it. It's a visual gag, but it just feels tonally wrong. It's you know what it is? It's the same thing like when we saw Cyril folded on his bed because his mama talked bad to him in Andor the other week. Like there's just tonally some things that they don't jive with me at all. Like I have concepts placed in boxes in my head for these kind of movies, and it doesn't always work. It'd be like throwing a Yo Mama joke in like the middle of the D-Day invasion and Saving Private Ryan. Like, no, this dude just got meat grinded. You can't make a mama joke unless it's like out of anger and you start machine gunning somebody. Like, it's sometimes the shit just doesn't work. But the trailer, I mean, it looked like every other Marvel movie I've seen. Like, I get because they have a pattern to their trailers. You know what I mean? It's about the team. We got to throw in 3 or 4 heartfelt kind of things. Like, it's about loyalty and forgiveness and redemption. I get it. That's superhero stuff. That's supposed to be there. Makes sense. We get quieter moments from David Harbour in this one. He's not Fat Thor. I mean, he is, you know, he's not making the Fat Thor dad bod jokes, right? And Florence Pugh's like, I have so many regrets. So she's trying very hard not to play up. I'm better than Black Widow. I'm a Mary. She wouldn't play up being a Mary Sue, but she's trying to not put that vibe out there. Cool. All right. But the problem here, and I think this is where I can probably stub you. Do you honestly care about half of this team? Do you care about Ghost, Taskmaster, John Walker?
It's not really caring about them. They're introducing them. It's like the first time you see the Suicide Squad. You did,
but
care
they're not.
Them until they.
But these guys have already had their runs. You already got John Walker. You already got Ghost and Taskmaster.
But they're
not new.
Exactly. They're not new, but we haven't really seen them much. I mean, even in the movies and TV shows that there are, because John Walker was on a show, he wasn't in a movie.
Right.
We had limited exposure to them.
And that wasn't enough to get me, is what I'm saying. And it sounds like it was enough to get you, at least at a minimum.
I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, because it looks like it's going to be an entertaining movie. And that at the bottom line, we're supposed to be entertained. It doesn't have to draw in a great art that's going to take me another 22 years to watch all 957 movies. I just want to be entertained. I want to sit there and go to the movies and not feel bad about going, like I have with a couple of these other movies I've gone to.
That's our common ground. That's our common ground, because all I want to do is go for 2 hours and not be told I voted for the wrong guy, I was born the wrong shade, toxic masculinity bullshit. I'm good. You're a Marvel movie. Be a superhero movie, so the Hulk can punch some giant thing in the face and literally everybody can cheer at the same time again. Can we do that? It was working pretty good. Everybody was happy and you guys are making money. You're making a lot less money and not everybody's happy anymore. So I'm with you on that. And what I've seen, like thematically, has not told me that it's a dangerous prospect to go to this movie, like because of story. It might be underwhelming. It could be lukewarm. And that's the other thing. We have to remind ourselves of this a lot. That just because something isn't politically trash in a movie these days doesn't make it automatically good. It can be lukewarm or suck. Like we had bad movies before the woke movement of 2014 to 2022 or whatever. Like plenty of movies sucked before then. Alien 3, anybody? Alien Resurrection, anybody? I mean, seriously,
most of Nic Cage's movies.
Okay, quick count off. Face Off, good. I'll die on the hill that Con Air was good. I will. I don't.
Minus his really bad Texas accent.
Terrible accent. Worse hair, but something about, dude, I said, get your hands off the teddy bear. Something about that works.
Put down the bunny.
The bear. Yeah, I'm saying, dude, right. The bunny. It was a bunny. That's right.
It was a bunny.
8mm, like we talked about the other day, because that shit's sick.
That was very sick.
Never get tired of hurting you. Great line. Chills me to the bone to this day.
But he had like that, was it The Last Witch Hunter or something like that? Where that was bad.
Terrible.
He was like, he was trying to.
Okay.
It was
Ghost
okay.
Rider.
The first one.
I got a finger. One. Not Spirit of Vengeance with the weird rubbery CGI. Whatever. Anywho. So yeah, it's just because your movie doesn't check the woke box doesn't make it automatically good. It makes it more likely that I'll go, but it doesn't like we're not here to glaze it either way. Like if you walk out, I know you pretty well. If you come out of that disappointed, you're gonna come out and be like, dude, this is the worst thing since Thanksgiving. Like you'll call it straight, and I will too. Like if I'm did I or did I not come out of Barbie and being like, wasn't awful, wasn't for me, but I think they outplayed themselves. But Exa says, at the very least, I like the main cast. They'll all give good performance, even if the story doesn't hit. And that's a fair point. That's elevation. We talk about that all the time here, King, especially with some of these the lower ranking shows that we get. Yeah, is that some of the actors find a way to elevate material and make it a point or two higher.
Yeah, we always say they did the best they could with the material that they were given.
Yep.
And
that's Florence Pugh in this 100%, and David Harbour. There's no shot that they're bad in it. I don't think that.
Same thing with the guy who plays Bucky.
Oh, Sebastian Stan, dude. Yeah. Why haven't we hired him to be Luke yet? Again,
I don't know.
Hi, back to our first topic. He looks like him.
He even looks like him when he has his hair shaved.
Saying we didn't need to CGI fake Luke at the end of Mando season 2. They could have dropped his ass in there, and I'd have been like, "That's Luke."
Another good Sebastian Stan movie that's completely off genre is the Last Full Measure. We are going into May, which is of course Memorial Day month. So if you have a chance, go check out the Last Full Measure. It's a really good movie.
Is it old?
No, it's about 3 years old, 4 years old.
You have to fill me in on the details of that one. That sounds pretty good. I'll take a peek at that. But yeah, I think that I like I was saying about Star Wars and what would get you excited to go into like the next thing, right? It's almost assuredly not going to be Thunderbolts for me, because I think I'm still too close to the end of the sludge that we've gotten for the rest of these phases. I think I'm recalibrating in my head for the Doomsday stuff, the Secret War stuff. None of the shows. I know you're kind of looking forward to Wonder Man. You were saying the other day. I'm like, I know nothing about the character, so you could talk me into watching that for the channel, and I'd give it an honest an honest pass. But like
I
things
think
like
Wonder Man's
Ironheart-
going to be a fun movie to watch.
See,
I just think
dude,
it will be.
If it looks like an 80s goofy sitcom, it could hit. Like imagine if they did that in the vein that they started WandaVision with, where each week for a few weeks it was a different decade's worth of a sitcom.
Yeah.
If Wonder Man has a unique vibe, like that could work, even if they did race swap the main character or they do some other stuff.
Yeah, that doesn't
He's
matter.
D-list. It does to me when you get that far down the list, like I understand, honoring or respecting the visual medium and source and all that stuff, but there's a pecking order somewhere.
And not
You know what I
including
mean?
that he was trying to get cast for the role, and somehow he magically got the power.
Right.
So,
So I mean, there's some wiggle room. Maybe it's hypocritical for me to say it, maybe, but it wouldn't be the same thing as making like Michael B. Jordan be Luke Skywalker recast for a reboot. You know what I mean? It's different. It just is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, what do we have after Thunderbolts? Besides those things, are there other solo picks, or is like Doomsday it?
I think
is that the thing?
I think Doomsday's the next one. They're still filming that now.
Right.
And
We already did Captain Falcon. Like that was it for this year. It's these two things, movie wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing for December this year that I'm forgetting about. Right. There's no Thor 5. There's no Eternals 2. Right.
Yeah. Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I see. Dude. Okay. I knew there was one more for the year. And you know what? I'm gonna shovel that right on the pile of Thunderbolts. Maybe it's lukewarm. Dude, maybe it's great. But I've seen Galactus walking like Godzilla. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's got some weird casting choices. Their stars are already starting to make some dumbass statements about the characters they portray and trying to do modern takes on them because the source material is dated. Like the guy playing Johnny Storm was like, I don't know. He seems like he was kind of a reckless rogue and a womanizer. And I don't really know if that's sexy anymore in 2025. Like, dude, just be fucking Johnny Storm, dude. The whole point of his fucking character is he's a D-bag that has to grow up. He's not supposed to start as a well-adjusted 38-year-old guy with the fucking 401k and a well-diversified portfolio. Like, he's supposed to be an idiot. We got to get back to being idiots, please. It makes it fun when they grow up. But yeah, what's your take on F4 then? Are you same vibe? Like, I'm going in, I'm going to try and see if I like it.
Yeah. And I know that it's set in a different universe. They are the only heroes in this world. So
is that confirmed? Do you know that? Is that a thing?
That's what they're leading to with their the same one who did this trailer. It was like the cinematic. It's kind of like a D24 where they had that bit then where they just look at the upcoming movies and they release longer extended trailers for it.
Yeah. I think I remember that.
So it showed a little bit more. Like it explained why it's called First Steps in the new trailer. And then you have a little bit more dynamic and like they're like they will save us. They are the superheroes. So I think and like you see a skyline of New York City. There's no Avengers Tower, nothing like that. So
okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, like when you go into New York, you don't see the Fantastic Four Tower in New York because they would have been a thing. Yeah. Right. So without that, dude, they're in a different universe.
That kind of ties into, and we got a few minutes left, but we just mentioned it briefly, and it's kind of some spoiler talk, rumory kind of thing from that article that I sent you from Chris Claremont speaking at whatever expo he was at. If the Fantastic Four are confirmed as being from not MCU universe the same way Deadpool wasn't, then a lot of what he said might actually bear out some fruit because there's some of the things that he said in there where you've got multiple actors playing multiple versions of different people, not just one character playing different folks. And in particular to Fantastic Four, he said he's been told or he hears that you're getting 4 different Reed Richards here. You're getting Pedro Pascal. You're getting Pedro Pascal. I think he said as did he say he was getting the Maker version? Because that would be a villain version. But they also mentioned John Krasinski and the kid that played him in Fantastic for the Trachtenberg one that came out like 8 years ago, whenever the really bad one that had come out with Michael B. Jordan and a couple of other major ships in there. So if there's multiversal Fantastic Four people in there, maybe some of the other rumors in that article are also true about certain actors that may or may not be filming other movies during the Doomsday production schedule. Mr. Kingsley.
Yeah, I don't believe that they're going to bring him
Captain
in.
Hydra. He's Captain Hydra.
He's not. He's not going to be in it.
Bet dinner.
Okay.
I will fly down to
Pizza
take
bet.
you guys out to dinner. All right, that's good because the flight's going to be expensive by the time this shit comes out. Tariffs and whatnot on airplanes. Is that a thing? Can they do tariffs on air travel? Yeah, pizza bet in the house. If I win, you got to go out and buy yourself a slice, and then I'll send you the money on Venmo and vice versa. There we go. Chris Evans, Captain Hydra confirmed. Just saying. All right, There we go. He says no. Dude, that might be a good play. We could probably end things on a joke here. We're right up against the hour. We could probably do that. It's probably not a bad place. Did we miss anybody in the did we miss anybody in comments there? I see Pape had one from a couple minutes ago. Paid to see both of those Alien movies, dude. I paid to see Resurrection. I'm pretty ashamed that I saw that. I think I caught Alien 3 on video. And then I see you had commented, and if you're still there, you said Fantastic Four ? Did you have a Fantastic Four question? I missed the comment.
No, he put it up when we were thinking of the other movie. It came up. Yes, that popped up the same time I said Fantastic Four. So
thank you, Pay. Appreciate you, buddy. But good. I think we covered our one and a half. I know we went both topics. We had a third topic in reserve that was a little lighter on things. It was I don't want to talk about Superman yet anyway because I think that one was kind of dumb. But all right, why don't we get the heck out of here? King Z, we'll say goodnight to everybody with no additional profound goodbyes, please. We got to go.
Well, see ya.